Just to start, the first meeting of the GAP, and to be clear, GAP is Global Access Partners.
That's
the
correct.
first meeting of the GAP Taskforce on hospital funding was when? What date?
I'd have to take it on notice, Senator, but it's
Well, that's a bit disappointing, Secretary, because,
2016.
most of us read the clips at 2 a.m, etc. Anyway, so...
It's sometime in 2016.
Yeah,
I don't have all the dates.
There are 12 months, 300...
Yes, I understand that,
anyway,
Senator.
Okay. Let's, just to assist me, early or late 2016?
There probably would have been one earlier in the year. It probably only met every 4 or 5 months, I can't recall.
Yeah, that's right.
There haven't been that many meetings.
The
If the second one was in December last year, the first one might have been 6 months before that. I'd have to take that on notice.
To keep it easy for people. The cost?
$55,000.
$55,000. And then which was the meeting where you articulated the...
The one on the 28th of March.
28th of March this year. Okay, great. And just to be clear, that the document that Senator Watt has kindly shared with us makes it very, very clear that in the second paragraph on the first page, the group will consider the structural redesign of the Australian government rebate on private health insurance under the Federation reform, focusing on the proposed Commonwealth Hospital benefit. Secondly, at the bottom of the page, it's under disclaimer. It says, statements made during discussions are the personal opinions of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect those of Global Access Partners and its sponsoring organisations. So in summary, and then on the second page, just to assist, at the top under proceedings, it says attendees represent themselves and, interestingly, should pursue self-interest to achieve results. Anyway, so I'm just making the evidence much clearer. Anyway, so let's be clear. Let's be clear about this. In the period, in late 2015, as a result of the Federation White Paper process and the announcement of the Federation White Paper process under former Prime Minister Abbott, the Department of Health goes out and contracts the services valued at $55,000 to conduct a series of private discussions, personal opinion gathering in regards to the Commonwealth Hospital benefit proposal that was in the Federation White Paper. There is a meeting in mid-2016. There's another one on the 14th of December 2016, and then there's another final one on the 28th of March 2017, where the Secretary makes it very, very clear that the government has no policy position. In fact, the government, to quote the Minister this morning, rejects it and rejects it into the future as well.
And Senator, if I might, just on that, because your point about the Federation reform is a very good one, that this work started well before Minister Hunt became Minister. It came out of the Federation White Paper, and as soon as he was clearly briefed on the matter, as soon as the Minister was aware of this, he ruled it out.
So news travels very slowly to the Department of Health, does it, Secretary?
I don't get...
Well, you only have to go to media reports on the 28th of April 2016 to know that the Federation reform process was scrapped.
Yes.
You only have to go to the website to know that you can't even find the reform of the Federation White Paper anymore.
That's correct.
So I think Di Natale is right.
Who?
I know.
Senator.
Hold the front page. Senator Di Natale.
We should use it. If you're going to give me
because why would we continue to expend public money? Why would we continue to waste officials' times at meetings which they're expressing personal points of view when the government's position is to abandon the Federation reform process, and then the Minister has made it very, very clear that he's not accepting the advice of officials in this regard?
Well, there's a couple of things there,
Were you
Senator.
freelancing, Secretary?
Senator, as I went through earlier on, this has been a process also discussed at ARMAC, the Australian Health Ministers Advisory Council.
Of officials.
Of officials. And we provide advice to our governments across the nation on healthcare reform. It was part of the National Health Reform Working Group under ARMAC. And yes, we continued to do the work on this as an exercise because people thought it was a good thing to do some policy thinking on. I don't apologise for that. Our job is to provide policy advice. Government's job is to make decisions around policies. They've clearly made a decision. They had the white paper issue had been brought to a conclusion, yes. RMAC, because the states, territories and the Commonwealth get together every
So
3 or 4
you
months,
agree
and we
that
had that conversation.
The primary motivation for the GAP Taskforce on hospital funding, the Federation White reform process, which was abandoned in April 2016, some could argue that the justification for this no longer existed.
Well, the good policy thinking should always happen, and we need to find forums for that to happen. This was, it's in the document here, the task force is an initiative of the Public Policy and Implementation Institute Global Access Partners. And we work with them, yes. We contracted them, yes. We are participating in that group, yes, in thinking around future health policy.
So as a result of your contribution on the 28th of March, stakeholders will be would have been very, very clear then, and will be crystal clear now as a result of the Minister's announcement, that this work is not and is not going to be government policy.
Absolutely. I made it very clear at the March meeting.
Could you just read out what you said at the March meeting again?
This is one sentence out of a statement I would have made. I'd have to go back and think about.
Were you going to table those minutes?
Can we take that on notice? This one's got scribble all over it, but we'll get that to you. The Commonwealth the Commonwealth Hospital benefit is not government policy, and there is no intention to formally progress the idea through GAP. Although GAP is welcome to undertake informal analysis. That's a broad summary of what I said, but I made it very clear at the time. It's not government policy. We're not going to progress it through this process. But again, being an independent research analyst, Public Policy and Implementation Institute, they do what they need to do to continue that conversation. It hasn't met since that 28th of March, as Mr. Cormack mentioned earlier.
Thank you.